Welcome to the Wayne Bennett podcast, celebrating West Virginia's people, places, and the culture of Southern Appalachia. Now here's your host, Wayne Bennett.
Welcome to the Easy Come, Easy Go broadcast. This is Wayne Bennett. At this time, I'd like to give a thank you to Mr. Ballstick that has helped us a little bit with the technical advice, and he kind of get us started. Today, our guest is Mr. Dennis Pack, and he was with us the first show, and we didn't get quite finished with the interview. This man has had 70 years of entertainment and plays bass guitar, has been in several bands over the years, and been playing in clubs and bars and festivals and church and a little bit of everywhere, and he's got a lot to share. Welcome back, Mr. Pack.
Glad to be here.
Now, the last time we were here, we'd mentioned one group called Evil Incorporated from Oak Hill, and I kind of just looked up a little information on those guys, and I actually found a couple records they made, and they were kind of a Beatle takeoff. But one of the guys was a drummer-singer. His name was Doug Gent, and then there was a guitar player named Gary Burgess, and a bass player named Frank Dunlap. All these were pretty young guys at that time. And lead guitar singer was Ed Michael. And then there was a keyboard player, Bob James. And they won the first Battle of the Bands over at the Armory when they had a big thing over there. And they hung around. I think they put out a couple records, but they broke up and went different directions. But also got thinking about a couple clubs that we didn't mention. Did you guys ever play at the Time Out Club down at Bradley? The big club down in the dip?
Yeah. When that first went in, Billy Walker was supposed to come in and open it up, and we was going to back him up, but somehow or another he didn't get to make it, so I didn't get to play with Billy Walker.
Uh-huh. I know another place we didn't mention, what I called the Citadel Club over at Bradley. What did you call that?
Well, it's been called several things, but the last time owners was in there was Sharon Cook, and we just called it Sharon's. That's above the place where they do the girl strippers, you know.
Yeah, tell me about the stripper and getting a tip.
Oh, well, we didn't know she was a stripper at the time, and she approached us, and she asked if we took a request, and we told her sure. So she requested something, and we went ahead and was going to play it, and she dropped a bill on the floor. Well, we knew it was a good piece of change, you know, but when we took our break, it turned out to be $1.
Got a $1 tip from a stripper, though. That's pretty good. What about did you ever play out at the Wheel, out at Daniels?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played there. My daddy built that building back in the late 20s. Jackie O'Neill owned that. And of course, he took me out there when I was just a little boy. And then for me to get to play in the building that my daddy owned, built, it was really an honor. Almost makes me want to cry.
And then Bob Rapp ran it. Would he run it when you guys played it?
Yeah, we played there for Bob Rapp.
Yeah, the last time that I was ever out there, my wife Diane and I had stopped there going somewhere else, and it was late. It was early evening on a Saturday, and there hadn't been any bands, or the bands hadn't started playing or anything like that. But and even I knew Bob. He came over and talked to us, but there were just so many guys looking at my wife when I went in. I decided I didn't feel very comfortable staying there, so we didn't hang around very long. But during your playing career, I know, was there ever a time that you were afraid, or when trouble broke out, or anything, or did you?
I can't say. I had a knife pulled on me one time, but the girlfriend jumped in between me and the guy. He was jealous of me because she kept coming up and wanting to know if I'd sing her a song. And there wasn't nothing going on. I didn't know who the girl was, but he got mad at me and when I come off the stage, he approached me with a knife, and she got in between us, and then they left. So, other than that, and Jerry
Gunther
getting shot that time. Of course, we played over Billows, and there was a lot of knockdown, drag outs,
Yeah.
That was over Glen Jeans, but nothing real bad.
Yeah, you see movies sometimes of some of these rough places where they've got chicken wire around the band and stuff like that. I've never been in one like that, but it would kind of make it kind of interesting. Now, you guys played at the Roaring Twenties quite a bit. And who owned the Roaring Twenties when you worked there?
First time I played out there, it was just a beer joint. Of course, Alfred and Leonard Lyons owned it, and then they bought liquor license. So, of course, I played in there a lot when there was had liquor in there. But the first time I played in there was just a beer joint.
Yeah. Well, you had a van? You had a van stolen out there?
Yeah, I just put $400 worth of tires on that car and had it all cleaned up. It was sitting right behind the Roaring Twenties Club, and of course, right above it inside is where we were playing. And when I come out after we'd finished for the night, my van was gone, and I told Bill Morris, our lead singer, I said, "Man, somebody's took my van." He said, "Oh man." I said, "Yeah, how's it going?" He said, "You got to be kidding me." I said, "No." So anyway, we went in and called Sheriff's Department, and some little rookie come out there, and he said, "Well, it's right here on the interstate." He says it's probably in Timbuktu, but now I never did hear any more out of it.
Didn't have nobody, no clues, nothing.
Nothing.
And that was a customized van too. I mean, it was nice, wasn't it?
It was real nice. And I hadn't owned it but about maybe 6 months.
Well, they said that during that period of time, vans and some of the bigger 4-wheel drives, that people were stealing them, and they would be on the boat going to Venezuela by that night. There was just, if it was organized crime that was getting them, you never know. But somebody ended up with a nice van. But during the 70 years that you played with a lot of musicians, and I know couldn't name all of them, but we've tried to list a few guys, and don't know how many of them are still alive or how many of them or have passed on. But could you give us just a list of them and of what you got or what you remember?
Well, I've got about 30 down here, and I'll go through them as quick as I can. Of course, Russ Hicks, I never did play any clubs with him, but we used to jam over on Maxwell Hill on Sundays, and he had a protege named Eddie Kennedy, and he played lead guitar for me for a long time, but he finally wound up in Nashville. He went down there and started playing with Billy Walker, and then he winded up with Kitty Wells for years. And then there was Jimmy Fain. He was a steel guitar player from over around Sophia, and Buddy Petrie was from down way down route. Well, I forget now. I think 12 goes through there. It goes down through Montgomery. And Dennis Meadows, he was a guitar and a singer, and his house was where we played at. Jackie Williams was a guitarist, lead guitarist, and Sammy Martin with the Starlighters, he was a guitar singer. And of course, Bobby Campbell, my old buddy of about 50 years, we played together. He's on drums. Of course, I play with him now with David Atkins. He's a guitar and singer, and Bobby Doss just passed away. He was a keyboard and also a singer and a harp player. And Julius, we call him Spanky. I never did know his last name, but he was a singer. And, of course, we still jam together right now. Played in a group with Doris and Jerry King. Jerry played the drums, and, of course, Doris was a singer. And, of course, Dark and Mark Miller, and they was part of the Swinging Orbits. Of course, I play still with Jerry Taylor. He's off the Wheeling Jamboree, and he played lead guitar for him for 7 years. Of course, I'm still with him and Darnell Miller. And let's see, we're down to Bobby Warren was a drummer. Bill Heberlin, he wound up down in Huntington with his own booking agency. He was a drummer. He was a Beckley boy. Of course, there's Billy Pack and his banjo. He's the one who got me interested on the bass. And There was Dennis Spangler, a singer from Oak Hill, and Lowell Wilson, he's from down Huntington. He was a keyboard and a singer. Roger Cozart, one of my old buddies, lived here in Beckley. He was a guitarist. Doopy Cook lived out of Shady Spring. He was a guitar player. And Tommy Brown was a drummer, but he was blind. But I liked Tommy, and he was good, and we played together about 3 years. And Bill Slate came in here out of Nashville and started his own show on WAY, and I played with him over there on that one. And he winded up stealing some of our equipment and took off during the show. That's what canceled that one. Then we had Rick Justice. He wanted up down around Huntington. And he was a drummer. And Harry Fuller was from Oak Hill. He was a drummer. Of course, there's Ronnie Cantley from down Rock Creek. We hired him as a drummer and found out he's pretty good on the keyboard. So we talked him into getting his daddy to buy him a keyboard, which was a Farfisa. And at that time, it was the top of the line. And
he kind of goes by Byron on Facebook, and we're friends with him, and he's taking it easy down in Florida now, I think. And,
yeah, you was telling me about it when you first mentioned Brian Cantley. I didn't know who it was because I always knew him as Ronnie. Of course, there was Daryl Mintz. He was our first drummer in Swinging Orbits. He liked girls better than he did practice, so I had to let him go. You know, I mean, you got to practice to get a good band together. And there was Dave Roberts on keyboard, and Eugene McClung out of Oak Hill. He was a singer and guitar player. And Greg Morrison, I guess I should say he's passed away. He was a premier guitar player, just like Russ Hicks was.
Really?
That's the ones I got listed down here. I'm sure there's people that I've not included down here, but I've played with there's a lot of good musicians around Beckley, West Virginia.
Yeah, and there still are. You know, I mean, there's but things have changed a lot. You know, they don't hire the bigger bands as much anymore, and some of these musicians are with the equipment. They can get a drum sound, and they're going like groups of 2 and sometimes 3, and using some of the background music and of course, equipment's a little more advanced than what it used to be. It used to be the bigger the better as far as the speakers and stuff, but now it's things have changed, and the bars aren't wanting to pay bands, and and I know a lot of cases that these guys go in and they basically play for tips. You know, they put a tip jar out, and they don't get the owners of the bars don't pay them anything. They might give them free food and a drink or two. But now, being in a bar on Fridays and Saturday nights, and I know there's a lot of smoking, a lot of drinking, and those kind of things. But did you ever smoke?
When I was a boy trying to be a macho with the rest of the neighborhood kids when I was around 13, 14, they all smoked, and I carried a pack of cigarettes called Wings. They was real long, and but I never did inhale it. But after I started setting pins in the bowling alley at 14, I got away from them boys, so I didn't smoke really.
But you probably breathed a lot of secondhand smoke.
I breathed a lot of secondhand smoke in them clubs.
And how about, did you ever drink any? I know that was a downfall of some band members. They drank too much, and they get to a point later in the show couldn't even hardly play.
Yeah, most musicians they like to drink. I usually liked a little hot damn. It was just a little tiny shot glass, you know, and I'd sip on that thing through the night because it would loosen up your vocal cords. Of course, I had to sing, you know.
Yeah, you told me a story one time about when y'all went down toward Oceana, and there was a bar down there. I think they'd had a DJ or something, and they paid you, but they didn't want you to play your kind of music. How did that go exactly?
Well, we went in there. The guy knew he liked country music, but he had a DJ in there playing soul music and stuff, and he wanted to try something new. So when we got down there, the DJ was wound up, and the lead guitar singer to me said, "Boy, you know what you've done?" And I said, "Well, yeah, he knows what he's getting." So he said, "Well, that's what we'll give him." And after we played one set, well, nobody danced. And as soon as the DJ took over, the floor filled up. Well, when we went back and played another set, nobody danced. And so when we come off the bandstand after that second set, the owner come to me and said, "Dennis," he said, I don't want to offend you, but he said, "Would you care if I paid you and you guys just pack it up?" And I said, "We'd be tickled to death."
So you got paid anyway.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to test you a minute. Who sang this song? Borrowed Angel.
Oh, that was Mill Street.
Mill Street. Yeah, I love to watch him on Saturday nights. He actually had a show on Channel 6 there for a while, and he was from the Bluefield area, and had a body shop down there, and he I guess he was about 45 years old when he passed away, didn't he? Did you?
Yeah, he shot himself.
Yeah. He, I can't remember the name of his band.
Swing Kings.
Swing Kings, that's what it was. And they play around every once in a while. But he had, I think he had 10 songs in the top 20 at a time or two. And the guy was, but he said he suffered from depression and drank a little bit too much, and on his birthday he killed himself. And he had to be a pretty big time if George Jones came in and sang at your funeral.
Well, I always felt like it. He didn't do it on purpose. I think he picked up his gun, was going to take it down short to his brother, and somehow or another it went off.
I think more was an accident.
I've never felt like Mill Street, as popular as he was. I mean, he had a lot of, I guess you might say, responsibilities, bus, musicians, but he had money coming in, so there's no way that he could have been in debt that he couldn't pay those boys.
Now, you later, you guys you worked with, y'all started a band out at the Mining Academy. How did that get going?
Well, when I went out there to work, they needed a bass player. And
they already had a band, huh?
Yeah, it was a group that they called the Academy Band. It was already organized, and the lady that played bass, her husband didn't like it because I heard that he was a little bit jealous of her. She's around guys. So about the time I went out there, they needed a bass player, and I just filled the bill.
How long did you play with them?
About 7 or 8 years.
Really?
Every time they'd have parties or dinners, we'd play.
Uh-huh.
And then we'd take that band up to Hinton and play for railroad days and water festivals.
Now, do they still have a band?
No.
No, they broke up. And
most everybody retired.
Well, then you played in a church group with some family members.
Yeah.
How did that get started?
Well, we were down in Charleston. My wife was in the hospital, and of course, my 2 daughters, Diana and Dorena, was down there with her. And the preacher kept telling me, "Say, when are you going to bring that bass to the church and start playing?" And I said, "You talk my 2 girls into blowing the horns, and I'll come over and play." He said, "The horn blowers?" I said, "Yeah, trumpet, sax." So that's how we all 3 went in. And of course, Dree's husband, Christopher Robinson, he was a drummer, and he went with us. So that kind of formed a band over at the Church of God on South Canal Street for F.D. Sexton.
How long did you play with that?
We was out there about 6 or 7 years, I guess.
Yeah. I know at one time they were talking about going to Nashville, but I don't. Something happened there. I don't know. It fizzled out. I think everybody had different plans, different directions or something, didn't they?
You mean to go down there and stay?
Well, I think they were going to go down there and record,
Well, we did that. We went, the Starlighters went down there and recorded 45. It's a small record.
Uh-huh.
But nothing ever became of it. I mean, we went down and recorded it. And, Porter set us up with that recording studio, and they gave us a pretty good discount, so to speak. They called it a cousin discount, but I don't know about that either.
But you wouldn't happen to have a copy of that record, would you?
Yeah, it's somewhere in my archives.
Well,
I gave all mine away. They gave us a bunch to sell, but I gave all mine away. I had customers, that I was working on my meat truck, and I gave them, everybody I could think of, I gave them one. I don't know how I missed you, because you was in the family at that time.
Well, and all your kids play music, or have played music, right?
Oh, yeah.
And did you push them that direction, or?
No. I put a violin in Danny's head when he was about 5 years old, but I think he thought like he was a sissy and wanted to play guitar, so then I bought him a guitar. The girls all took up horns,
Uh-huh.
But Danny, he didn't like his violin, and so he learned to play guitar and bass. So he's played in a lot of bands.
Well, I know that when he was a teenager, he played with the Midnight Beats, and they were pretty big around the Beckley area and stuff. And I was always thinking maybe they'd get back for a reunion thing sometime or another, but they've never.
You was talking about Evil Incorporated in the Battle of the Bands. Danny and them was up against them over at the Armory at that time.
Uh-huh.
Of course, Danny and them didn't have a big name, but Evil Incorporated beat them out,
And yeah, they were. I listened to them quite a bit. The Midnight Beats. They were pretty good, but they were so young they couldn't play into liquor clubs or anything like that. I think they mainly played at proms and homecoming.
Yeah, they played quite a bit up around. I'm thinking the White Sulphur Hotel. So I know they went up there and played there, and there was a girls' school up there at that time. But they played basically around here,
Do you? Then you kind of got back with Darnell Miller there for a while down in Virginia. Y'all were playing down in that area. What was the name of the place you were playing there? You remember?
Well, it was called. There was a restaurant called Rural Retreat, I believe.
There's a town down there, Rural Retreat.
Yeah, it was a nice little restaurant, kind of like Larry's Diner on RFD, if you ever watch that.
Yeah.
But Darnell would book down there about every month, so we'd go down there about once a month and play that restaurant. But some lady finally bought the restaurant, and the lady we played for, they had a trucking outfit, and the woman that took it over, she didn't want no bands.
And then you guys were featured on, I guess it was that RFD television station, right?
Yeah, they called it Virginia Dreams. Out of I forget that town down there now.
Down around Marion and that area.
Some kind of a Ville right outside Covington, a little further down.
Oh, okay.
Y'all go to Harrisonburg, maybe, is that?
There's a Harrisonburg. I don't know, but I got to see that, and I kind of thought after you guys were on the TV program, you might try to do something a little more recording or something after that. Had a real good steel guitar player, and of course Darnell still sang well, and you guys sounded great. But we said before that Darnell's he's kind of semi-retired now, or retired.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't done anything for about 3 years. But if he'd called tomorrow, I'd be gone.
So what's on your bucket list? If you got a birthday coming up here, and do you mind if I tell you how old you are? You'll be 90 years old.
Yeah.
and on March the
Fourth.
4th. What's your bucket list? What's one thing that you'd like to do that you haven't done before? That if you had a choice.
I don't think I got one. I've done everything that I guess I ever wanted to do. One time, of course, I wanted to go to Nashville and play with somebody big down there, but I went down there several times, met some people, but I finally lost the desire to do that. I got to play with some of them around here. When they come in, we'd open up for them, and I got a taste of it. It's not for me.
Well, they had a pretty good eclectic life, good experience, and it's now you're retired and spend some time down on Cloud Street, driving around in your golf cart.
Yeah.
I used to know an old girl down on Cloud Street that had long brown hair and blue cat eye glasses and a little gap between her teeth and bony knees, and wonder whatever happened to her.
I think she's behind me right now.
I heard she married Will.
Well, I kind of get along with her husband, so I'd say she did.
Well, I'll tell you what, our time's about up, but we're going to, we'd like to get you back sometime and have all the kids or have some of the kids come back and we can share some more stories. And I'd like to remind, could we get you back?
Oh, definitely. I enjoy talking to you and reminiscing.
Well, we'll do it, and I'd like to thank everybody else out there for checking on our show. And remember, if you have any suggestions or you want to be on the show, it's awbennett50@gmail.com. You can email me, and we'll get you on here, and be glad to have you. But until then, remember, if you ain't dead yet, you ain't done yet.